Phoebe caught up to Gwen after running for Maihutes. She held her hand, but Gwen jerked her hand away from her, causing her to fall. "Ah!" Phoebe grunted in pain. She looked at her arm, and it had bruises. She managed to get up and tried to stop Gwen from moving, but this time she ran in front of her and spread her arms. "Stop, Gwen. Please," she pleaded. Gwen was already in tears, and despite the fact she tried to hide it, she couldn't hide her red eyes. "Listen, I'm sorry. I want to be left alone, Phoebe." Gwen tried to push her away, but Phoebe stood her ground. "I am not letting you step out of here without you hearing what I have to say." "What more do you have to say, Phoebe?" Gwen asked. "Haven't you done enough damage already?" "I didn't mean to." "That's because you don't think before speaking. You don't care if your words hurt the other person or not. You say whatever damn thing you want, and do you know what that has done?" "I am sorry." "Now Claudia doesn't trust me. She thinks I am a bad influence on you and Chad. My life was better without you in it." "I am sorry, Gwen. I didn't mean for this to happen. I had no idea you had feelings for Chad. I just dot." "You just what? Wanted to make fun of me?" "Gwen." "Oh, shut up, Phoebe." Phoebe couldn't stop the tears that rolled down her cheeks. "I didn't mean to hurt you, Gwen, and I am sorry I did. Please find it in your heart to forgive me." She tried moving closer to Gwen, but Gwen pushed her, making her fall to the ground. This worsened the bruises she already had. She stood up and tried to meet Gwen again, but Gwen turned and said, "Stay away from me, Phoebe." Phoebe stood still and watched Gwen leave. She ignored the pain she was feeling in her arms and walked back to the house cryerig. Chad was waiting for her to hear the news that they had sorted out the issue, but he was surprised when he saw her running and crying. As she was about to open the door to go in, he held on to her, trying to look at her face, but Roby wouldn't let him see her. "Talk to me, Phoebe. What happened? Why are you crying?" Despite her attempt to break free, Chad held on to her tighter, and when a soft gasp escaped her lips, he looked at her arms, and there were bruises. "Jesus Christ, Phoebe, what the hell happened?" Finally, she looked up at him with those teary eyes and said, "She told me to stay away from her. Tried to apologize to her, but she wouldn't let me." "Shh." Chad gestured to her to be quiet, but Phoebe kept letting everything out. "I didn't mean to hurt her feelings. I know. I will talk to her, okay? But first, we need to clean these wounds, or they might get affected. You won't want Mom seeing you this way, would you?" Phoebe shook her head and quickly wiped her tears. Chad couldn't explain how seeing her cry broke her heart. He didn't understand if this was a feeling he was having because his sister is hurt, or if there was more to it. But all he knew was he was going to make amends. He knew Gwen had feelings for him, but he didn't take it seriously. Sooner or later, he would have to tell her how he felt. He took a deep breath before taking her into the house. The prince has been busy trying to get a lot of money he would use to bribe the King of Euphrates. He knew about the king and what he loves, so he decided to gather everything he could think of to make the journey a successful one. The horses, cargoes, and guards were all ready to depart when Lucas ran to meet the Prene. "Permit that I come with you, your highness." "I can't have you do that," the prince said as he got on his horse. "I need you here to take care of the kingdom while am gone. We will be leaving for the other world in the next 3 days. I ask that you prepare for that instead." "But your highness, that's an order." Lucas had no other choice but to succumb to the prince's orders. He looked up at the prince and said, "Do you promise to come back in one piece?" "I'm not going for war, Lucas." The prince smiled. It was nice knowing he had a friend that cares so much about him. He looked up at Lucas and saw that he was being serious, so he said, "As your lordship pleases." He bowed his head, and Lucas made way for him to pass. The prince tuned to the guards and commanded them to go while he bade Lucas goodbye. The maidens were peeking through their rooms as they watched what transpired between Lucas and the prince. I told you they are romantically attracted to each other, Eve said. Xenia already had enough, so she walked up to them. Does anyone have a best friend? She asked. All the maidens in the room turned to look at her, but none said anything. Oh, she said with a smile on her face. That's why you girls will never understand. And with that she left the room, leaving the maidens dumbfounded. What's that supposed to mean? Chloe asked, folding her arms in anger. I think she just called us a loner, Eve said while touching her chest in shock. I think she just called us a loner, Eve said while touching her chest in shock. Tell me why Elle shouldn't strangle that girl to death, Chloe said. You will be banished or worse, have your head cut off. One of the maidens, Flora explained while earning a weird look from Chloe. I thought you said to give you reasons. I didn't mean you should give me Rhea. Chloe ignored her before walking away. Xenia knew she was setting fire, and she knew all the maidens would hate her, but it was a risk she was willing to take for the sake of the kingdom.